So, welcome to the final Late Night Live podcast at the Love Tutoring Festival 2. Today is Thursday, the 27th of January, and this podcast won't go live on the QT podcast probably for another couple of weeks, but that's because we have so much content to get through from the previous week. It's been such an amazing week. I've been very much inspired by everyone who has come to talk at the festival, and this evening we have a wonderful conversation for you around some of the themes that we have already been discussed today, and I'm sure my guests here this evening will only add to that conversation. And the topic of that conversation really is school-led tutoring. This topic of debate that has caused so much interest and intrigue and conversation today. And there was a brilliant event earlier today with Lucy Spencer from Education Boutique and Diego Mello from Nudge Education around what the school-led tutoring can really achieve. And Remedy Recruitment, who are the three representatives of Remedy Recruitment this evening: Daniel Sugarman and Craig Sinclair, and Dean Pomeroy, if he's able to join us at the moment. They have been doing tutoring in schools. They've been working with schools longer than most. So Daniel and Craig, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to introduce yourselves. So Craig, if we could start with you, if that's not a problem. I'd like just to give you kind of 60, 90 seconds or so to introduce yourself, a little bit about your tutoring background and what you do at Remedy.
Yes, certainly. So good evening, everyone. My name's, as I said, Craig Sinclair. I work for Remedy Recruitment Group, director, and I look after the floor. We currently provide locums and temporary workers to the public sector. We supply education, social work, medical, and also tutors. And over the past sort of 12 to 18 months, our tutoring department has grown from strength to strength, and now we are servicing local authorities, local boroughs, virtual schools, and it is growing on a sort of a daily and weekly basis. Dean Pomeroy is the manager on the team who heads it up along with his staff, and really it's such an exciting division. There's so much going on: schools, virtual schools, local authorities. There's so much in tutoring that you probably never thought of before you kind of worked on the tutoring department. So it's such a big topic, and yeah, just really, really exciting at the moment.
Awesome. Thanks, Craig. We'll be hearing a little bit more about that from you just in a second. But Daniel, if you could just tell us a little bit about your background, how you came to be where you are today, that would be an excellent introduction.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us on this late night podcast. My name is Daniel Sugarman. My family have been in recruitment. Well, they actually opened their first stores in 1984, and they was probably in recruitment probably from the very sort of beginning of 1980s. So I've grown up in the world of recruitment, and I probably see recruitment a little bit different from people because of that reason. Whereas I don't see recruitment as just trying to find people staff. I actually see recruitment as actually being a part of the business or school or the local authority, and actually making them work and achieve what they want to achieve. So that's how I look at it. Within the company, we deal with social work, care workers, medical staffing, education staffing, as well as tutoring. We've been going now, just Remedy Recruitment Group, for 20 years, supplying, as Craig's already said, permanent as well as temporary working staff.
Thanks, Daniel. So yeah, to kick this conversation kind of off in terms of the content that we want to describe, that's a great introduction to you and Craig. I'd like to know what really you see, Daniel, as what does school-led tutoring mean to you? What does this idea mean to you? What kind of hopes do you have for this program?
Am I allowed to be not PC on this? Because this is a late night podcast.
It's late, but it's not that late, Daniel.
Okay, because the guys that you have on from all these different recruitment agencies are fantastically corporate, and I'm not.
Anyway.
And they're fantastic. No swearing will be done, obviously. Really, firstly, why was school-led introduced? I think is a major turning point and question to be asked. And the reason why I would say this is if the NTP was to a certain amount of success, which government and schools were happy, why would school-led be required? And that's really my sort of bugbear with school-led tuition. Now, unfortunately, at present, Remedy Recruitment Group is not on the NTP. And we've been trying to get on it for, I can't tell you how long, for however long. So as a recruitment agency, we can phone up a school and say, we're not on the school-led, we're not on the NTP, we're on the school-led tuition. So it's pretty much the same pot. So use us for the same children that you was going to put onto the NTP, but use school-led. Now, at present, there's more monetary and more hours being delivered that way than through the NTP. So my question really, and my scenario that I have a problem with all of it is there are children being delivered lessons by school-led and not to the NTP, and it's the same thing. And that seems to be a bit of my bugbear. And Randstad, for however well that they're doing, and I've been speaking to some of the directors there and managers there, and they're finding it a very, very tough job because headmasters are not 100% certain what budgets to use. They're not 100% certain about what agencies to use, how to get the budget, what's the best tutors out there for them to actually be able to access via certain agencies. Are those tutors going to turn up, not turn up because of COVID, online, 1 to 2, 1 to 3? And I think that's one thing that throughout all of the agencies that have been speaking this week, nothing is 100% clear. Now, I was sort of in and out today, and there was, correct me if I'm wrong, Ludo, I don't know if you remember who the agency was, where I believe the year 4 percentages have been changed now from 10 to, I think they said 25%. That came up today as well. So everything's still unclear. So we're not on the NTP. We're still tutoring the children that are disadvantaged, and we're still really using the budget that has been foreseen for schools to do.
Yeah.
So as some people say, rock and a hard place at the moment.
Yeah. Craig, can we get your thoughts then on what the school-led kind of tutoring, what it can mean in this coming year ahead? What can school-led tutoring achieve then?
Yeah, I think school. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Excellent. I think school-led gives a great opportunity for schools to tap into budgets that they probably never knew that they had. But I think, as Daniel said, I think a lot of headmasters and schools don't know how to tap into it, because when you speak to them or when you have dialogue with them, they are stressed, so much going on at the school. And they actually don't have time to start tapping in, sending emails, trying to find out how they get the grant. No one's got back to them from local authority. So it's very, very frustrating to try and educate a headmaster with how to run their school and get ongoing tuition for a certain percentage off. So it's trying to get and break down those barriers to get the support that they need to help the children within the school. There is so much out there, but I don't think it's coming down from local authority and being explained to schools how to tap into it and how to use it.
Yeah. So what do you think are some kind of workarounds for that then? What does the next year lie in store then if the school-led tutoring program is going to be successful?
Well, I think we've got there's a lot of schools that obviously that want to use the NTP and want to use the school-led. For us, for Remedy Recruitment Group, it's working currently with the large number of schools and local authorities that we use now. a lot of those headmasters talk to one another and communicate with one another and understand how well Remedy Recruitment are doing and providing those services. And we hope that spreads around where we're sort of supplying local teachers, TAs and tutors. There's massive scope for a lot of kids to really get further education from the government, but you've just got to really tap into those headmasters and those bursars to try and get that information across. It's an amazing opportunity for every school in the country to actually excel and perform well and achieve really good grades. I just wish maybe local authorities would assist the schools a lot more with how to claim for it, how to get it, how to take that stress and burden away from actually running it. Because sometimes schools don't have enough time in the day. You know, they have enough time in the day to deal with the kids and X, Y, and Z. And then they've got to start looking and investing into how to get more money into the school, how to work out the school lead. There's not enough time in the day. So I just think I wish the system was made easier and more accessible to schools to enable kids to really further their education.
Luda, may I ask you, sir, what do you see the NTP or school-led as a success?
Well, I think we've been discussing this today a little bit through the couple of the two roundtables, and I think as kind of stepping back a little bit, I think bringing a sense of allowing tutors to become part of the mainstream education, I think will be one of the greatest legacies of the NTP, and whether that happens in this academic year or whether that happens a little bit later down the line is slightly unclear at the moment. But I think you know, for all of the kind of teething issues and logistical issues that have seemingly arisen with the NTP, I think what it has done in introducing the idea of tutors working in schools on a national level is pretty groundbreaking, really, and has given tutoring a new kind of its step into the limelight. And I think you see as well that other nations have kind of taken a similar model to that which we've deployed here. Probably done it far better than we have, but at least setting the path for what for how to deploy you know, one-on-one or one to several, you know, 1 to 3, 1 to 4 tutoring situations. But Daniel, I want to dive a little bit further into.
That was a perfect corporate way of not saying an answer.
No, that's what I believe. I think that's, you asked me what success would look like, and that's what I was saying. I think I'm not saying that the NTP is currently.
I said I wasn't corporate. Can I just say you didn't say one thing? And I know how amazing you are, sir. So this isn't on anything directed at you. You didn't say anything about stats going up, GCSEs going up, SEN children looking after, any of the above.
So how long is this interview for me?
I
Are you interviewing me now,
Daniel? I told you I'm not corporate. Listen, I love the fact that we've been doing tutoring before any of this came about. Of course we want it. You know, the amount of money that the government are putting, and hopefully it will work, is amazing. But what would the government see as the NTP, school-led, whatever you want to call it, a success? Is it for GCSEs? Is it, you know, for deprived children that are catching up over COVID? How do you mark, and this was a big topic and I disagreed with some people, but I didn't say anything today. How do you mark it as a success? What does the government actually want? I think at one point here, we're coming up to nearly £2 billion worth of spending UK wide. That's a lot of money. So they still no one's come out and said, we wanted it because of catch up, GCSEs, stats, or disadvantaged children, whether it be SEN, no laptops or anything. What is it actually supposed to be? And that's what I'm trying to get at. Because me as a recruitment agency, and that's what we are, someone comes to me and says, right, our Ofsted has to go up. Our SEN children need looking after. We need tutors to help with EBD through to severe syndromes. That's what I go. That's our job.
Yeah, Craig, you were about to step in there?
No, I disagree. I agree with Dan. What is a success? But if you take it from you have to take school led and the NTP at probably as an individual level for schools and tutors, because before COVID, probably not a lot of kids ever had tutors unless their parents were very wealthy, or they they decided that they didn't want to go out at the weekends, they weren't doing a sport, so they'd have a tutor. And to have a tutor was something that was quite, special. Now kids from across all different sectors and genres and race, anyone can have a tutor and improve on their education at no cost, which is unbelievable. And to me, just by placing the school led in the NTP is a success, because they've got it out there, it's in the open. What's a success is if everyone can tap into it and everyone can actually have it. I think it's so exciting that kids can have extra tutoring, up to a point where they never had anything before, and a chance to actually do something different and just spark their mind and, take pride in themselves, having a tutoring on a 1-to-1, 1-to-4, 1-to-5, 1-to-6 level, having it at home, working off a laptop. Some kids would never 2 years ago have ever sat in front of a laptop and looked at a tutor at all. So they're learning new skills, they're learning new topics, they're learning how to talk to their peers, they're learning how to communicate with other people. It's just an amazing thing. It's just, to say what's a success, I don't think anyone will know what a success is until it's all ended and you see how well people have done. But I think it's down to that individual level from each school to really ascertain how well kids are doing.
Yeah, guys, I want to turn this towards focusing in away from the wider kind of achievements or kind of potentialities of the NTP. What are your tutors learning from working as part of the NTP and working with schools? What are some of the stories that you've been hearing kind of from your network of tutors? Because there must be so much learning that's going on and kind of experience building.
Oh, so it's been incredible. The disengagement that children have had over the last 18 months is really relevant, of social life, social interaction. Most children now, actually, school attainment has gone right down as well. So that's just one thing. Another thing we're finding out within the looked after children, people going into people's homes, etc. How children are learning is it's very hard to say to someone what is a good studying environment for a child. So we've heard where people have gone into homes, they've used the kitchen. I've actually heard of a table and chair set up in the garage. I've heard a desk being put in the shed. Some people might say that's barbaric, but some people might say, well, we have a student that has got their own space and they feel safe and it's their own environment. So that's another scenario that we've been getting. We're finding that tutors are probably at the moment never had so much work, which is great, because there was some people today saying they're having problems with just 1 hour sessions, because some tutors are traveling half an hour to a school, and then half an hour to back. So some teachers, tutors, aren't doing it. So that there's other things that are put into place that we've heard, like tuition bonuses. If the tutor does the 1 hour for the 15 weeks, that became relevant today. There's so many. There really is so many avenues that we've heard from tutors at the moment. It's not just going to school and you've got 3 hours in the morning and turn up tomorrow and do the same thing. I think it's so varied now.
I think just following on from what Daniel said and speaking to our tutors, I mean, we have many tutors working up and down the country, but I'll just say, for instance, a lot in our schools where we are in and around London, is that they're improving on their own skill set. You know, they're taking on more work. They're being able to really express themselves. They're being able to have more confidence. You know, maybe a tutor would only teach 2 hours a week before COVID and before school ed and before NTP. But now they're being able to tutor 10 hours a week, 12 hours a week, take on more work, have the ability and drive to actually enjoy the job that they're doing. They're mixing with different people. They're teaching different settings, and they're only improving on themselves. And they are really excelling. And I think the feedback that we get from local authority, the feedback that we get from virtual schools, is that the tutors, not just ours, but I'm sure many tutors out there, are actually probably really excelling in their own settings because they're able to express themselves. They will do online, they will do one-to-one at a school, they will do 1-to-4. So they're teaching in different settings as well, where they need to change how they're learning and teaching kids. I think it's been a really exciting time for tutors this last couple of years.
Yeah, and that must be really invigorating for the rest of the kind of remedy departments. Is this the things that the remedy tutors department can learn from the other departments in the remedy recruitment group?
Yeah, kids are doing an additional year. In my view, why are we making children catch up? Why? I don't understand that at the moment, personally. If you know, everyone that I've spoken to or listened to today, it's been incredible. You know, the tutors are helping an extra hour, depending on what the scenario is of the child. You know, they're being pulled out of a classroom so that they can give additional help, or during lunchtime, or after schools, etc. I would like them to stay in school. I don't understand why we're rushing children out to, you know, a certain age to do A levels, to do further education, or so on and so on and so on. I think, and you know, I'm speaking from a child that has a child of 15. Craig also has children, and I'm sure people today have got all age groups as well. Why are we rushing these children that have probably had, in our lifetime, the worst, you know, pandemic and traumatized situation that they're ever going to have, hopefully? Why are we rushing them to catch up?
Yeah, it's a brilliant question. Craig, is there some insights that you'd like to add there?
No, just follow on from what you said before with regards to what is remedy learning from our tutors within other teams, is that there's a lot more work that tutors can do in different settings across the public sector. They don't just have to work in a school. Tutors can work in social services. Tutors can go and work in local authorities. They can go and work in community centres. They can go and work in different settings in churches, in synagogues, in mosques. There's so much out there now that has fallen on tutors' laps, where everyone is getting involved and trying to increase volumes of trials attainments throughout the next sort of 3 to 5 years. And I think that's what's exciting about education at this moment in time for teachers and also tutors, is that teachers probably didn't think how much more they could do outside of work after their long, hard day that they have already, that there's now more that they can do maybe within the school or outside the school. And I think that's what we found at Remedy, that a lot of teachers that we supply already now, we're actually tapping into and getting them set up to do extra tutoring services throughout our schools and virtual schools.
Yeah, can Craig, can you just quickly tell us a little bit more about what, when you're referring to virtual schools, what you kind of mean? There might be some members of the audience who aren't quite sure what that.
Yes, a virtual school is a local authority, and they will look after kids that are taken out of different services, and there'll be a setup, and they would provide tuition services throughout the community and for what school they were at. So we work with local authorities and the virtual schools. So there's two sides to it. Daniel. you'll be able to those two sides to the virtual school and say SEN and PRUs, etc. We will get contacted by email from a virtual school to say, please can you go and help a young child that needs tutoring. We would get all the details, work with the local authority, and we would provide a tuition service wherever it is needed up and down the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want? So sorry. Go on, Ludo. Were you just about to say something?
Oh, just saying. I think it's these kind of this concept has is become a vital support over lockdown, and I think you guys are doing a wonderful school kind of mission tapping into that. And
we're trying.
Say again.
We are trying.
Yeah, I thought that's what you said.
Yeah, we are. We really are. We're lucky. We've however many we are delivering thousands and thousands of lessons a week, and we're quite lucky on that. I think it's because probably the working class sort of background, and this goes back to what Craig was saying as well. Tutoring was seen as a privilege or something that was going to help you get to a particular GCSE mark or into a university or an A-level mark. But tutoring is so varied now with virtual school and online, etc. I would just like to not push a child for the sake of data. For me personally, why are we trying to rush these kids out into the big wide world at the moment or onto the next level as quick as possible? And I think as well, we've got some tutors and education staff or education people with on this, depending on when a child was born. So you've got your September to July babies. Everyone takes things in at different times and at different places throughout the school year. So what some September babies might get, a July won't, and they're being penalised, or there might be seen as something, and that's where the SEN comes into it and the pressure comes into it, just because of the date of birth. So it's things are not as I would do it, but there we go.
Daniel Sugarman for Prime Minister.
I don't know about that.
Can't wait for that to happen, and then things will be done differently and lives will be valued even the most.
It just goes back to what is success on this? What is success on this? Why are we run? We've having a pep. I'm not going to. What is a success? What does a tutor want out of their work? What does the school want out of it? What do the LEAs want out of it? And I don't think it's clear enough all the way around to rush these kids through. And especially with the amount of hours of the day, if they're doing it after school, they might not get home till 5 o'clock or whatever it may be, even later. When can a child be a child? Different learning attributes is different for every child, and they shouldn't be pinned into one group. Yeah,
absolutely. Craig, I think we might have lost you there for a second, but we're drawing to a wonderful close here. Our podcasts are normally kind of around 25-30 minutes, and we've had a really, really good kind of 30 minutes chat. But before we close here, I wanted to ask you this is a question we often ask, or at least in this framework on the podcast. What would success look like for you, not for the NTP, but for Remedy Tutors as an organisation? What would success look like for you by the end of 2022?
By the end, children smiling. Doesn't matter if they pass, don't pass. Children smiling. I was taught once. I was privileged enough, and I had some amazing teachers. And he walked into a classroom. He was all joking and laughing, and he made this brilliant, sarcastic comment. And he looked at all us and he went, "How dare you have fun and enjoy yourselves at school?" And that has stayed with me my whole life.
Yeah, I think what would be a success or for the whole of 2022? I think what Daniel said, for Remedy Recruitment Group to provide good tuition service, you're not providing a service that is going to turn everyone into, you know, Albert Einstein, but you're trying to provide a tuition service that can inspire young children to actually learn, to pick up a book, to spell, to write, to learn about science, to learn about global warming. You want your tutors to inspire the next generation. You want them to really enjoy what they're doing. Not all kids will enjoy tuition, but if you can get the right tutors, if you can get them excited, if you can get them to understand, we've done our job. We're not there to, you know, we're not going to be able to give everyone an A or a B, or, you know, but we're there to give everyone a chance and to give everyone a voice and to make sure that everyone has that slight opportunity to ask a question. And if every child can ask a question to a tutor and just get something right, we've achieved what we've wanted to achieve.
Absolutely.
I just put myself on mute. Guys, that's a wonderful wonderful thought to end on, that just talking there about how the impact of a negative comment or reply can last with us for a while. Going into rounding off today's activity with such a kind of message of hope is such a good way to end today, because ultimately that's what the National Tutoring Programme has been about. It's about hope. It's about providing a solution out of a really nasty and tricky situation for thousands, if not millions, of children, and providing them with a hope, the way out. One of the first meetings that we had together on this festival, you said it with such confidence, all three of you, Daniel, Craig and Dean, who's not been able to join us tonight. You said our tutoring is about life. And I think that what you've just said there has totally echoed that. And you also said that in order to improve the well-being of the students that you work with, you need to give them a positive and meaningful sense of worth, or sense of kind of self. And I think it's clear that your tutors embody that message each time they go out and work with a child. So you can be incredibly proud of the work you do, whether you become NTP tuition partners or not. You work in schools, you know, you would have done that even if the NTP hadn't come around. So I'm going to draw this conversation to a wonderful end this evening. Kaylee Rapson has just let out a huge yawn, which I think
it's getting late.
It's been a really intense and that means a wonderful day. And thank you, Craig. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys, as many as we can of you, for tomorrow, the final day of the activities, and best of luck with the rest of this term and the rest of 2022. So I've been Ludo Miller, host of the Qualified Tutor Podcast. We are wrapping up tonight's activities here on day 4, and see you all tomorrow.
Okay.
Good evening.
Bye.
Take care. God bless.
Bye. Bye, Daniel.
Bye. Bye. Bye.